What is up, everybody? This is RybackStun. We have returned to Test Center for video 2 of 4. For the 7 of you that saw the other video, I apologize. I'll go ahead and say it, I'm an idiot. I really dislike the process that they use for the 52 reviews now. Thankfully, there's only 3 of them left that they have to do. It makes it difficult to realize. It doesn't make it difficult. I could have looked, but it wasn't on the main list. I had to actually purchase it, as opposed to it just being there because it was a character I already owned. Anyway, Scarlet Witch, we're on Test Center, so damage is not complete. I'm sure they will go through many iterations of damage. There's a couple... I know there was one animation issue specifically, but we'll see what happens with the rest of the stuff. The hero synergy is exactly the same as it was before. 2 levels of 2% damage over time increase. She has a bar here that's called Hex Sphere charges. You get a Hex Sphere per little bar here. It restores itself slowly over time. She's got, Spirit is a regular thing. She's had some pretty interesting changes. Still has Decimation, Negation, and Disruption. And then she also has an ultimate called No More, which we will look at later. Obviously, because I try to do the ultimate every video. Starting with Hex Bolt, and you'll see it says Chaos Mental Damage. Now, Chaos is essentially the random effect that designates how unreliable Scarlet Witch's powers are. They have been represented in different ways multiple times. She's been shown as to be a base-level magic user by her trainer, Agatha Harkness, I believe her name was. She's been shown to be someone who is the most powerful being in existence because she has the power to remake reality, such as the Decimation House of M and such. She's also been shown to be someone who can tap into very good chaos magic powers, something that even Doctor Strange didn't know existed, says it doesn't exist, and yet here she is using it. As such in Avengers Children's Crusade, and then every level in between. So these things that specifically say Chaos represent that. So first thing is a Hex Bolt. It's Chaos mental damage. It's still mental damage, it's just the fluctuation is between 31 and 6,147. That is not an exact value. Damage tuning is not finished. It will be finished when it hits live, and maybe not even then. So please do not bitch at me if the damage levels are not properly. I'm also not wearing any gear. Rapid fire, rate of fire is 2.6 per second. Boom, 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 boom. So you'll notice there was a 273, but there were 2 5,000s there. So that's basically how that works. Combusting Hex, mental damage twice per second. It also has a chaos effect of 10% chance to instantly destroy minor enemies when cast. 8-second duration. Spare cost is 18.8 or 18. I'm not entirely sure. That was not the right power. There's the right power. On to the next power, it's Chaotic Hex. Pretty much exactly the way it used to be. Chaos mental damage, the damage fluxes in a much shorter range than the other stuff does, but it fires between 1 and 5 bolts. That's the chaos portion of it. So there was 2, there's 1, there's 2, there's 3, there's 4, there's 4 again, there's 1. Next, we have Chaos Magic, which is your passive. It gives you, it's similar to the old passive. You get crit hit rating, get brutal strike rating, 15% chance to cast a minor hex, and it is also now your CC breaker. So it also, those hexes specifically are attack and movement speed decrease, mental damage twice per second for 5 seconds. All this stuff is for 5 seconds. Or you regenerate health and regenerate spirit per second. So that's what your breaker looks like. I'm not entirely sure why she doesn't have a cape right now. It's not going to reflect over to the main thing. I wanted to put the Age of Ultron costume on, but sadly, this is not Scarlet Witch. This is Scarlet Witch Test, and there are no costumes for Scarlet Witch Test. Next, we have Bouncing Hex, which also has a very large range for damage. Mental damage again. It hits between 4 and 8 targets, and each bounce has a 20% chance to create an additional Bouncing Hex, which has the same restrictions. So, boom. Let's see if I can get another one going. It doesn't look like it's gonna happen. That's a shame. Anyway. So that's Bouncing Hex. Next, we have Hex Sphere. It's got a passive effect, which is your Hex Sphere ability. You get a charge meter, which stores charges of Hex Sphere. Charges are built over time and build quickly when dealing chaos damage. Your chaos mental damage is, again, a large range. It's got a stun duration, a rate of fire of 1.5 per second, and it has 1 charge cost. So there's that. There's your range of stuff. Next, we have Beasts from Beyond. Tear open a fabric in the Sorry, let's try that again. Tear open the fabric of reality and unleash ghostly creatures of your own design upon all those within reach. It's chaos mental damage, again at wide range. It gives you your vulnerability for 3 seconds, and it's chaos damage specifically. So it's not actually mental damage. Your opponent takes 20% extra damage from chaos damage specifically. So that's nice. Area effect is 6 seconds. High spirit cost. Cooldown is 8 seconds. So there's your damage, and you can see the varying lengths of it. It's also hitting this guy over here, which is kind of interesting. And it looks like the beasts themselves will hit randomly. So if any of you have ever played League of Legends, it's kind of like Gangplank's Ultimate, where it just hits randomly in areas, and it may not hit the same person each time. So that is Decimation. Now we have Negation. First ability Negation is Chaos Shift. It damages from where you leave off, not where from you arrive. So that's her teleport power. Next we've got Winds of Chaos, which still costs Spirit for whatever reason. Next we have Obfuscation, which is an area of effect. Passively, you gain increased maximum spirit, defense rating, projectile reflection chance. You have a revive, and you gain Constitution. Actively, you slow enemy attack and movement speed. Your allies become protected, shielding them from 25% of incoming damage and healing them of 5% of their maximum health per second. And allies cannot be protected again for 25 seconds after leaving the area of effect. So similar to Hawkeye's little medtech arrow. Area duration is 5 seconds, cooldown is 30 seconds, spirit cost is 30. Boom! There's your aura. Not actually as big as the medtech arrow, which is kind of disappointing, but still should help in terms of attack. Next we have Unmake Reality. This used to be her ultimate, it is now her signature. Instantly destroys minor enemies, stuns for 3 seconds against powerful enemies, mental damage. It also has a chaos effect. Chaos affixes have a maximum possible effect between Bewitching and Chaos Blast. They gain maximum disruption stacks for the duration, which ties into her third tree. Increases the chance of the next 10 proc effects from tricking to 100%, including effects from items. You gain 3 charges of Hex Sphere. Your buff duration is 12 seconds. So all that other stuff happens for 12 seconds, and then you get a big old, burst of damage here with the mental damage. And then these will proc off the way they're supposed to. Yada yada blah and blah. So next here we have Chaos Warp, which is different. It's no longer a click and it channels itself for an X amount of time. It is now an ongoing effect. It does mental damage twice per second. You reduce enemy movement speed by 50%. You also have Chaos Healing, which regenerates healing when you hit regenerates health when you hit an enemy. 50% damage negation, and its ongoing cost is 18.8 per second, which probably is reduced by something I have on right now. I'm not entirely sure what. But there you go. And you just hold on to it, which is kind of nice. So you just do damage, lots and lots of damage, and your dot abilities will make it go higher. Next we have in the Disruption tier is Disruption Powers. One of them is called Reality Implosion. You do mental damage. This is your vulnerability. 10% for 8 seconds, and attack speed of 1, spirit cost of medium. So there's your reality here. Reality Implosion. Next we have Ravenous Binding. Mental damage twice per second for 8 seconds, immobilized duration for 3 seconds, and slow, and it also regenerates health. So there's your Ravenous Binding. Next we have Bewitching Hex, which deals mental damage. It also restores 2 spirit plus 2 for each different disruption power used in the last 10 seconds. This is a basic, so it's a nice little way of regaining spirit. Next we have Iron Maiden. It wraps your enemies in chaos magic, weakening them and doling out damage every time they attack. So it's mental damage to affected enemies when they attack. You also weaken them. The debuff duration is 8 seconds. 18 spirit costs, so in the medium range, and cooldown is 4 seconds. So there's your Maiden. Pretty neat. Next we have Chaos Blast. Strike a single target with a hex that becomes more effective with every disruption power used on the target beforehand. Pretty big mental damage there. Damage 10% for each different disruption power used in the last 10 seconds. Stacks up to 3 times. So with the you get it instantly when you use the signature, I believe, and then otherwise you need to cycle through your disruption abilities in order for it to work. So there's your Chaos Blast, which currently does not have an animation. That will be fixed at a later date. Dark Hex. Mental damage to enemies affected by Ravenous Binding, so it's going to be comboed with your Ravenous Binding. Mental damage twice per second to weakened enemies, so you can actually stack that with your Iron Maiden. And then you have a Terrify effect to enemies that are affected by vulnerability. So you really want to use all of your abilities and then stack Dark Hex, and that's when you want to pop your Chaos Blast. So we'll show what this looks like normally. So there's that. I'm going to do ASF. I should have waited. It's got a cooldown. So let's showcase Bewildering Hex instead. Confused enemies deal 2,500% more damage to other enemies. Area duration is 5 seconds. that's what it looks like. Bada bing, bada boom. A, S, F, and there's your thing there for Dark Hex. You can see the Terrify duration, some extra damage, and all kinds of good-looking stuff. So, and now we do no more. Render yourself invincible while you conjure a violent storm of chaos magic that engulfs and damages all nearby enemies, concluding in one massive shockwave. So lots of mental damage twice per second, and then a big energy damage explosion, and you are also invulnerable during the duration of the ability. So here we go. I guess it needs sound, but wow, that's impressive. Boom. That's pretty nice. That's going to be a pretty effective ability when people want to do it. And if you know, happen to stack it with some other damage stuff, it might get even better. So there's Scarlet Witch. Apologize for the video that was aired earlier that did not have the proper representation of the character. I am dumb. I apologize. But we have fixed it, so here is Scarlet Witch. Hope you guys enjoyed this review as much as I did showcasing it to you. Remember to like and comment on the video, subscribe to the channel, follow me on Twitch, Twitter, and Tumblr at RybackStun. More videos as they come along with that. This is RybackStun, signing out.